Welcome everyone to episode 183 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentalaresco. I write stuff in podcast 2. Today, my guest is Peter Chiykowski. Best known for his comic series Rock, Paper, Cynic, he has done a variety of different books. He's currently doing a Kickstarter for his collection, The Short Story. We are in the last 48 hours of his Kickstarter. I'd encourage you to check it out. Peter's a really talented dude. I got to meet him at the Calgary Expo before the Auroras, and I wanted him to come on the show because I thought it'd be a really cool experience. He seemed like a really cool guy. He said yes. And a few weeks later, both of us were nominated for our various works, which is really, really cool. So this is an official Aurora tie-in. You can vote for us through the Canadian Science Fiction and Fantasy Association. You can pay $10 to just get all the packages. Peter's stuff's there. I'll link you to me on the podcast here, so you can definitely take a look that way. I encourage everybody to vote, because it does matter. Congratulations, Peter, and it was really fun to chat with you. So let's just get to the conversation, and we'll talk more when this is over. All right, so I've officially turned the recorder on. Yeah, so anything incriminating you want to say, make it good.
Okay. I'll do my best.
You'll do your best? Okay. So no baby seals, no stealing candy from baby, robbing ice cream, nothing like that?
No. I mean, like, I fart in public sometimes.
Okay.
I'll put that on record.
Okay. That's good. I like that one. It hits the right buttons, right? It's annoying, but also just like it's fun too, because it's like yeah. How you been, man?
Busy. It's a busy few months and an interesting few months.
Yes. Well, let's do the proper thing here. Let's make this official. Congratulations on your Aurora nomination.
Oh, thank you. Congrats to you as well.
Yeah, I was shocked with mine. I didn't put my name in or anything. I just woke up one day, dear Aurora Promise. Oh, cool. But
that's a nice email to wake up to.
Yes, it is. It's a very cool email to wake up to. It's like, holy crap. And then you gotta be silent for like 2 weeks. Like, oh man, come on. But, yeah, it's the way it goes. You do like 4 comics.
Yeah, I do too many. I mean, there's one of them that I'm not sure if it's a comic or not. I think it's probably not a comic. But then 3 things that are definitely comics.
So okay. Let's get really technical for a second here. You do okay. So Peter does. I'm talking to my listeners here. Peter does graphic novels, right? Normally they come in the form of comic books. I'm assuming in the 4th one does have a graphical component to it.
Yeah. So I do 3 weekly webcomics that are like paneled. Like they look a lot like what you think comics would look like on the internet. Rock, Paper, Cynic is the best known of those, but I do 2 other projects with a collaborator, Aaron Lenk. Those comics are Visit Canning and What's George Doing Today? And then I have this weird side project called The Shortest Story, and it's these, they're almost like postcard short stories from alternate lives or impossible universes or, parallel realities. And they're these odd, they're really weird little things. And there's a graphical component. Some people might argue that it's like a one-panel comic, but it's much more narrative-focused, and I really have to think of them as short stories. Those are my weekly projects.
I'll tell you what. It's your project. We'll call it short stories because you say so, because you're the boss.
All right.
Does that work?
Sure, I can handle that.
Yeah. So, okay. I've dabbled in the comic writing realm, and it's harder than it seems. It's easier. Well, so I'm assuming you started with Rock, Paper, Cynic first?
Yeah, that's right.
That's where you started. So did you start with writing or drawing first?
I was definitely. I mean, like as a kid in high school and going into university, like I did both, but I didn't really do them together very often. I was like a very serious poet who had serious, important ideas to express. And I was just a god-awful writer, but it was definitely what I thought I was better at, and I was really passionate about. And then, like, a lot of, like, writers who, like, they love writing so much that, and they love their own writing so much that they don't know how to get better at it because they don't want to change or have to learn anything because they just think that they're already the best. I was one of those people.
Oh, God. So you're saying I would want to punch you in high school?
Yeah, I want to punch me in high school.
Okay.
I'm working on time to just like go back and punch myself.
That'd be a cool bio. Peter's working on attention.
Yeah. That would definitely that might make it in my next bio. I like that.
Yeah, but I do have this question then. So was there like a bucket of water? Because we all have a moment in time when we realize we suck, right? And you obviously went the way of I'm going to get better at this because. I mean, say what you will about what your quality of skill. There's a certain purity of voice when you're starting that is really hard to duplicate, and that can get you a long way on its own. But I mean, when did you get serious about getting better?
Probably the first time I took a creative writing workshop. Or actually, I'd say the second workshop. The first workshop I had, the teacher was like, everything that everyone does is great all the time, and there's no reason to improve your writing. That did not help me. That just made things worse. And then the next workshop I had a very tough love professor, Daryl Wetter, who's a Canadian poet and novelist, and he was super critical. He was really, really good about because it's easy to write, especially as a young writer, to get distracted trying to break the mold and do things that are different. Like if you only do that, you don't learn your fundamentals. Like how do you write a compelling conflict? How do you quickly characterize a character to make sure that they feel individual and interesting and real? If you don't spend the time to learn those fundamentals, then all you're doing are weird experiments, and it's harder to get people into that. I'm all for people breaking the mold and doing something differently, but I think learn your fundamentals, and then you'll be able to disrupt those fundamentals, disrupt those things even better, because you'll have a better understanding of how they work and how to expectations.
Well,
yeah. So it was in a creative writing workshop that I really finally started to realize you should learn something instead of just assuming that what you're doing is great. And at that point, I'd already been making comics for a bit, and comics were something where I finally kind of I was a very serious person in high school, way too serious. And going into university, I was a mixture of I was a goofball person, but a very serious person as a writer, and still trying to write with serious topics. And then I finally it's around the time that I met Jasmine, who's now my wife, but then we were just starting to date. That I really learned how to loosen up and just take myself less seriously. And learning to take myself less seriously and my craft and my learning how to write more seriously was kind of the big pivoting point where I think that's where I started transitioning to becoming a professional writer.
Well, it sounded well, going back to stuff you were talking about, it's very important. It's very now that I'm older and wiser, I think we all have this thing of we can break the mold and be different, which by the way it should always be challenged no matter what. Even if you've been doing this for 20 years, right, or 30 years, you should always try something different. But you don't understand the language of how something works or why these things work. You find that it doesn't feel authentic. It's there's a gap missing in your work. It sounds to me with you you got your wife made you more comfortable with you as a person.
Yeah, 100%. I used to walk into rooms and I felt this really anxious need to establish myself as the smartest person in the room or a clever person. And that made me a terrible person to have a conversation. Nobody wants to talk to that guy at a party. Nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't have the self-awareness to realize that's what I was doing. And then, I calmed down. I became a lot more comfortable with myself, and then I became a lot more comfortable, realizing that who I am doesn't need to be to dominate the conversation or establish facts or anything like that. I actually discovered how much I love listening to people. That's something that I didn't do a whole lot before.
Well, well, what we do is observe. When we're really on. I mean, it's one of the reasons I do a podcast. I get to talk to incredible people like yourself who do really cool things. I mean, I'm kind of jealous, to be honest. You're doing 3 comics at once, But it sounds to me like you with your wife made you more comfortable, and then. Did the writing get immediately better, or did it just take a little bit more trial and error before you really, really got comfortable with your voice as a writer, or an artist, I should say?
Yeah, it's funny. I still wouldn't say I'm not sure if I am comfortable with my voice as a writer or as an artist. And I think that's one of the things that lets me try so many projects, and I think the projects are fairly different from each other. Like you mentioned, like, you know, if you have a really interesting voice, that can get you a certain distance into being a writer, even if you haven't developed a technique. And I think that one of my problems when I started was I was so obsessed with the influence of other writers, I don't think I had a voice. And I'm still not 100% sure if I do. Like, there are certain tics that I have as a writer that I notice coming out, and that I think, okay, well, that's like part of the trend of what makes up the voice. But, like, you know, in a given week, I'll be doing like a stupid pun comic, or like a weirdly uplifting, wholesome joke comic for Arctic or Cynic. I'll be doing a pop culture parody comic for Easy Canon, and I'll be doing a cheeky peanut-style satire for What's Your Show Today, and then I'll be doing like a emotional, psychological horror story for the shortest story, and then for my freelance gigs, I'll be writing a minimalist rhyming couplet for like a video game that I get hired to write, while also trying to write like a traditional fantasy story for an RPG. And I think that the only reason I can do that is because I don't, like, there's not like one particular voice that I've taken nailed down to. I think it's a weakness and a strength of mine. And I'm very much a switch hitter, and I actually don't know where my voice is in all those things.
Interesting.
I think there are writers, and given all the people you talk to, you could probably suggest some names here, but like writers who have a distinct voice, but can also drop that and pivot and write different voices and like leave that behind when they need to. But I'm still figuring out what my dominant voice would be if it was just me. And I think I'm very consciously trying on hats with each project that I start. So it never feels like this is definitive of how I write when I do something. I definitely feel pieces that are closer to me if I was to express myself directly. But I've never found one that's like, that's the one. That's the one that is like the Peter Chiykowski mission figures.
So
like, yeah, like, do you have writers that you've noticed you have like a very distinctive voice, but then you've also seen them like suddenly pivot in style or able to?
Yeah, like a good example, like I'm a sci-fi guy, so a good example for me with, like, if you're talking like science fiction, would be someone like Heinlein, right? Old Heinlein, not new Heinlein, old Heinlein. He had the ability, like, he had a certain style and tone that was incredibly efficient, but he did have a whimsical side to him, which was really cool when it came out. Terry Pratchett is really good, actually, because I know he's kind of like, he's got this, his demeanor always tends to be kind of Monty Python-esque, but when you actually are reading what he's talking about, like, there is some, like he has the ability to go from Granny Weatherwax, who is a very, very a particular way, to Death, who is completely his own, like, like, Death is just awesome in Terry Pratchett's novel, just one of a kind. He can do that really well.
In all caps, right?
What?
He speaks in all caps, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Death's awesome. Like Terry Pratchett's Death is my favorite Death in literature. That sounds really weird as a sentence, but nonetheless.
It's a character that's been a lot of different takes on.
Yeah.
Or a picture.
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Yeah. If I were to go comics, J.M. DeMatteis is really good at it, especially when he's doing like younger kind of stuff. When he does his own independent stuff, his voice is very dominant. But when he does work for comics, he's really good at actually breaking the voice down. Peter David is actually, I think, probably very underrated with that too. Those are guys I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. I definitely there. I was thinking with Pratchett in particular, he's one of those guys who you're laughing, and then he makes this like very subtle pivot to all of a sudden there's like this really deep and meaningful observation about the absurdity of life or human nature or whatever. And I've always been amazed at, like, you think you're just having like a good laughy old time and it's all just whack business, but then there'll be that pivot or swoop, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're staring down the barrel of reality in a way.
Well, that's what comedy does. Quote Alan Moore in Watchmen, when we talk about the comedian. The idea of the comedian was he told a joke that reflected reality. Like, good jokes, they make you laugh because of how true they are, right? There's a truth to them, And when you look beneath the layers, you kind of see what's really going on. Good humor is nuanced that way, very well nuanced, and again can reveal something very profound to it. And that's why, again, we talk about Pratchett, but I also could mention Vonnegut, I can mention Fraction, Warren Ellis, if you want to talk about like dark humor. Yeah, that guy is a lesson in miserableism, as he so eloquently puts it. And yet, honestly, probably one of the sweetest guys too. But yeah, my Warren Ellis story goes back to the days of MySpace. I was living in the States at the time, and he was making fun of the fact that George Bush was president. So I gave him an excellent counter argument. It says, yeah, we're stuck with George Bush because I was living in the States at the time, but you're stuck with Prince Charles.
Stuck with him for a good level.
Yeah, no, just that me and him actually went back and forth a little bit because it was funny. We were just goofing off, right? He was just like, because he goes, and I go, hey, listen, this guy is, he's gonna take money from our system long after he's gone, but at least he's going to get gone. He says, you're stuck with him until he dies. Deal with that, you know. England can never say anything about American politics just for that reason alone. Although humor is probably one of the strongest tools we have to tell a story. It's also one of the harder things to actually write well, because it's so subjective.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's one of those things where there's no, like, you can write a well-crafted story that's not someone's cup of tea, and they'll still be able to read through it and, take something from it. If you tell a joke that doesn't connect with someone, the reaction is so immediate, and it's very hard to appreciate it.
And it's so painful too. Like, that's the other thing too. Like the margin for failure is higher. I mean, the only thing harder to write than humor is joy. Joy is the absolute hardest thing, but I think that one's a little bit more different, because when we're writing joy to me is like, when we are at our happiest, we are at our most open, in some ways our most vulnerable, but also at our strongest at the same time. And it's so hard to put yourself out there like that in a way that really, really works. Like, we read, I don't know if you ever read Will Wheaton's blogs. I mean, that's the best thing about his blogs. There is a joy in his writing that is very contagious. That's why his blogs did so well for so long, because they were funny, but they were also very real. But they were also, again, you don't get to read joy very much. I mean, we all can write about pain. All of us know what that is. But humor and joy and a lot of the positive stuff, that's actually the hardest stuff to actually do well.
Yeah, well, and I think that, I'm someone who thinks a lot about conflict is kind of the engine for fiction. And joy is one of those things where, depending on how you write it, there can be no conflict, and joy is like the absence of conflict. And I think that's a very shallow kind of joy, and I think it works well with like those stories. But it's a hard thing to write in the middle or beginning of the story. But when you have those moments of like joy or epiphany in the midst of conflict or struggle, that's where I feel like really difficult but magical sweet spot is.
Yeah, well, because it feels real. Like,
yeah.
Because it feels absolutely real. Because there's not a moment in our lives where we don't struggle. I don't care who you are, but I mean, there are those moments in our lives where we can forget for a moment that we're going through that and just be nothing but like happy in that moment, in that place, in that time. And hopefully, that bird duty from the sky doesn't hit you in the head right at that moment, so it doesn't ruin it, because they don't last that long. But those are really, really hard moments to do really, really well. So, when did you get the idea to put the two together? The writing and the art.
Oh, the writing and the art. I started off not intending any of my comics to be for public consumption. I have a very bad attention span, or I definitely used to have a worse attention span. So I'd be in university classes, and I'd be get like a weird idea coming into my head. Sometimes it was a reaction to the material, or like a weird fact that came out, or a thought would like just I'd start like extrapolating from it to like a what if. Or I'd just think of a stupid pun, and the easiest way to get it out of my head was just to jot it down in the margin, or like do a little Google and get it out. And I did that enough that I had like these pages and pages of tiny margins and some of them, there was like a seed there that would have been interesting to turn into a comic. That like that maybe there was something that was worth like building out and joking a little bit more. So I did a few of those up in like a very shoddy style, like very poorly drawn, but like I took the time to like go over them again on like fresh paper, and I posted those, and enough people reacted to them that I was like, okay, this is something that's like interesting or different. And then I kind of slowly and accidentally ended up making a webcomic from there, like doing smaller stages. Like first it was, I think Facebook was very, very new.
Okay, so this is like 2007?
Yeah, so I think I started posting in 2000.
Okay.
It would have been fall 2008, and like at this point, I was a latecomer to Facebook in my university. I'm often a latecomer to technology, but it was still like early days, and you still have to type all of your statuses in the third person. And before I had a website, I posted a bunch of comics there, and people were discussing them. And then I got like the student newspaper and used it in them. And then around that time, I thought, okay, I should get a website together. Originally, the name of the comic was not Rock Paper Cynic. Originally, it was The Real Macabre, which is...
I remember that. I saw that somewhere.
It's still wrong. I think it's my DeviantArt handle still. Not that I have not used DeviantArt in like over 10 years, but that's what it was. And anyway, it was a bad name. This is like not a lot of people know or can spell the word macabre, which if you're giving it to them as a URL is a really... So Rock Paper Cynic was the better name that I thought of a couple months later, and I just switched everything over and it has never been called anything else. And yeah, that's kind of that's how they ended up getting brought together, the comics and the drawing and the writing.
Yeah, so you accidentally got into it, huh? So it has led you. Well, so now you're doing 3 series. So what is your comfort zone? Because I know comics, at least from a writing point of view, again, it's not as dense as prose. So like what do you comfortably handle with that? Like 3, 5?
Like how many could I do in a week?
Yeah.
So for Rock Paper Cynic, I write and draw it, and doing one of those probably takes from like thinking of the idea to like hammering it out into a proper script or joke format that I think will work, and then drawing it. I'd say it's like somewhere between 2 to 5 hours, depending on the length of the strip. Like a short one panel joke that doesn't require much editing or workshopping. Could be like just an hour sometimes. And then the other strips are ones that I write and Aaron Lang draws. So that's where it's weird. I get a vacation from having to like plan out the panels or do the artwork. But I also have to be a lot more clear with my intentions, because the things that are in my head as an artist, I feel like I don't have to write them. Of course, I'll see in my head, are not things in Aaron's head. So I don't want to put a stranglehold in him as an artist, because I want him to go over the panels the way that he wants, and for him to be able to add some flair and rotate some things. That's something that, to me, are really operative to the joke that he might not see, or an element that he might be missing. I need to make sure that I'm making out of. So that's something where like the scripts take 2 to 3 times as long, but then after that I get to sign off and the art goes to them and all that. And the weird thing is with webcomics, like it's not even the creative time. I mean, it is. It's the time and energy to think of a new idea and play it and draw it. Every week is something that definitely is demanding, but there's just so much involved in like the maintenance of the website, of all of the social media channels, getting projects out, the online store, prepping for cons. There's just so much that ends up being part of the like apparatus of running a webcomic that the bulk of the time I spend in the week is not actually spent creating the comics. I think it definitely could be if I was doing less freelance work, but I'm really enjoying the freelance work that I'm doing right now. It's stuff that I'm really attached to. I like the time for it. So it's any given week, it's a very interesting juggling of activities.
Yeah, it sounds like beyond just your attention span, you just enjoy doing a variety of different things all the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, and I also do like I think most conventions, I do a live show where I do comedy music that I've written goes off in the same vein of humor as the comics. Like a lot of conventions, I'll do that. Some of that is now including some improv sketch comedy. So I think I definitely like being able to bring together different creative skills. Like one of the things that I've been realizing is that if I had to say one thing that I am, I think I would say that I'm a humorist. More than, because I care more about producing humor than I do about the medium I'm producing it in. It's like another one of my weird side projects. I do dad joke on solo.
Yeah.
So that's a weird one-off thing that I do. That is, again, very different from the rest of my stuff. But what links it to all my projects is the fact that humor is the genre or the medium or the vector that I'm using, whatever you want to call it. And the actual technical skills I use to get there are almost secondary to the mission of humor. So my goal is to make people laugh and maybe think while they're laughing. And I'll just do that with whatever tools are on hand.
So I'm going to ask an interesting off question. Have you done stand-up comedy? I'm asking that because that feels like a progression with you.
I would say no and yes to that.
So I was no and yes.
But no first. I've done, I've never gone out with nothing but a microphone and then made people laugh for X amount of time. That terrifies me. I've become a much more secure person, but I'm still insecure enough that I need something to hide behind. And just being out there with a microphone, essentially in terms of the tools of the trade, naked. I don't know how people have the courage to do that. That's different. But I will do stand-up bits or these longer jokes or joke stories mixed in with the live shows with the music. But at that point, I've already softened the crowd up with some songs, and concerts are their own beast for every audience is a new audience. They're trying to they're a beast to be tamed every night. There was some quote about that, but every audience is a new beast to entertain. You don't have any credit for how well you did with the last audience.
Mm-hmm.
Which is true and not true. Imagine Dragons doesn't really need to warm the audience up to their stuff when they go to a concert right now because they're Imagine Dragons and everyone knows them.
Unless they suck, and then they do suck. Yeah, right.
Some people who are just so bad live.
No, but I mean that's a really important thing. What we're talking about there is you got to win the audience's respect. Now, some bands can do it with their name, and every band likes to get to that point. But that respect can be lost in a minute if you don't back it up.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, one of my songs is it's almost like a song. One of my songs is a machine where I know that there are certain maneuvers and functions that it does, and over the span of that song, it will make the audience laugh at these points. These points might get an extra laugh, and they will be disentertained by the end of it. They have a pretty predictable reaction, which is not true. With stand-up, I feel like it's so, or at least I understand the predictability patterns of stand-up a lot worse. So I'm a lot more comfortable going out there, doing a few songs to warm the audience up, and then stopping to tell a story, or tell some dad joke on solo jokes, and then going back to the music. But the thought of having to lead with the comedy, where there's nothing where I don't have something that's that dependable as the opener, I can't imagine doing that. That's utterly
being terrified sometimes works to your advantage. In my case, I've been doing more live shows with my podcast. I have found that I get nervous as heck until the I have an idea what the show is going to be. I don't know if it's going to go the way I planned it. It never does. But when I go out there, it's just I don't once you're actually in the moment, the nerves are gone and you're just doing it. Then afterwards you get hit. It's what the hell did I just do for an hour? And then it's
that coming down from the blackout of performing is always it's an interesting moment of it's done. What happened? That was so fast.
Yes. Well, sometimes you know it's a good show, and sometimes you know it's you know when it's bad. You definitely know when it's bad. You don't always know if it's good, but when you do, you can feel it's good, you know it's good. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's a really, really interesting thing. I try to do something to keep out of my comfort zone because I get bored easy for as well. But for me, I do things. It's not just writing. It's just I do things, and I think what I have found is it doesn't really matter what tools I use, right? It's almost the same. Now, some tools are better for certain things than others, but I'm essentially still telling a story at the end of the day. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. And like, the technical skill with your medium matters, but often like trying a new medium and with related technical skills or whatever lets you unlock a side of your writing that you wouldn't have gotten to find otherwise.
Yeah.
Or just gives you a new creative space that gets past some of the blocks you didn't know you had, or forces you to break habits you didn't know you had. Actually, I know Tom Waits has talked about. I think he described his fingers are like as a musician, your fingers are like dogs, and they always go back to the same place. They play with something to themselves. So you find yourself always playing the same patterns as a guitarist or as a pianist or whatever. And he talked about very consciously. I think the quote was breaking his fingers between albums so that he wouldn't do that. And I think it also would explain why he's such a multi-instrumentalist. And he's done so many different weird albums because, like, okay, if I'm just too used to the guitar, I'll do the piano, I'm going to play some kind of weird thing that sounds like you're drumming on a skeleton ribcage. I think he's a musician who's been known to, like, literally just wander around the house or the space he's recording in and hit random objects to see what kind of tones he gets out of it, and then sometimes that'll become part of the discussion. Yeah,
absolutely. And, well, it's also because it's also the desire to create a different experience every time. I did an epic poetry graphic series. That's what I did. I'm really happy with it, and I'm proud of it. And if I ever do another epic poetry, spoiler alert, I'm doing it, I want to do something a little different next time, something that's not what I did before, because why do what you've already done before? Why not do something a little different and grow? And then hopefully you say something that's worthwhile to what you're doing.
Yeah, and definitely one thing, when you find yourself, when you find that your art is not scaring or challenging you, this is usually a good time to take a look at the creative environment you've made for yourself and, think about realigning it or thinking about, okay, let's try a different project.
Yeah.
It's one of the challenges of webcomics is you as an artist want to grow. Your audience kind of has come to know you for one thing, and it's hard to like pivot and grow and do different things without alienating the people who like have come to expect a certain kind of thing. And there usually is a way to do that. Like it's kind of like in basketball, but on the ground. That's kind of the rule.
Yeah.
I think it works the same way. Like your pivot foot has to be whatever it is that people come to know you for. But that other foot can give you a lot of freedom to maneuver and try different angles and try different things.
Well, yeah, and although you got to think, Charles Schultz did 40 years on Peanuts. Does that concept scare you, or do you ever respect him more for it?
Both, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Schultz is someone who, like, he set himself up well by creating, like, a very varied cast of characters.
Yes.
So if it was just, Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Lucy, that would be a really dire script, because there's only so many ways you can really mix that. But you have so many different personalities in that script. Like, Peanuts is not my favorite script, but you have to have a lot of respect for the way that he very consciously set himself up to be able to tell a lot of different stories and jokes for a very long period by having that cast.
If I were to make a guess, I'd say Calvin and Hobbes is your favorite.
For like traditional strips, 100%.
Yes.
And he's someone who, and this mystifies me, like, the fact that he was working with so few ingredients, like there's,
there's Calvin, Hobbes, and Calvin's imagination.
Yeah.
And that was it. It worked so well.
So well.
Yeah, it was such a fun, and talk about serious stuff. That the one he did on the antidepressant one still haunts me.
Yeah.
That one was like, holy crap, and just like tears. I actually ended up crying the first time I read that. It's like that. Wow, talk about humor hitting its mark. But yeah. So at this point, how long do you see yourself doing rock paper snake, or are you just going until you run out of ideas? Do you have a master plan to turn it into multi-platinum warring cartoon series that leave you zillions and zillions of dollars richer, or do you got or what would you like to do at this point?
I mean, Rock Paper Cynic, it'll turn 10 this October, and if it was going to take off in like a huge way, it would have by now. So I'm letting it be what I need it to be. Like Rock Paper Cynic was kind of it was essentially like opening up a notebook of mine and letting the world see it. And I think that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what I want it to be. So it's kind of like it's my stomping grounds from which I'll make creative expeditions to try other things and see how those go, but it'll always be a place that I can go back to and then tell the kind of jokes and stories and get at the kind of ideas that I want to get at. And then a testing ground too, because it lets me have access to this core audience to try out newer, weirder things. So I think I'm gonna keep going with it. I at this point I can't imagine stopping. I enjoy it a lot. It gives me so much creative freedom, and it's opened so many doors for me. I definitely am thinking about how I want to pivot it or make it a little bit different. Heading into year 11. Because I'm at the point in 10 years now where I'm starting to see a lot of rhythms, and it'd be nice to try something different, try a different art style. Something that's not too much of a departure from what's already there. So yeah, Rock Paper Cynic is definitely going to keep on going. I'm just trying to think of how do I do the next 10 years of it.
Fair enough. Good luck. I think, Mr. Peter, we have a decent interview here. What do you think?
I think so too.
Okay, so how will we end the interview like this? Tell people what you're currently working on. Just repeat whatever is most, I guess, pertinent to what you want to do, and let people find you. How do they do that?
Yes, so the best place to find me is rockpapercynic.com has links to all my other projects, as well as the comics that name of that site. And then I'm at rockpapercynic on all social media. The thing that I'm most excited about right now is that I've got an upcoming Kickstarter for the first print collection of the shortest story. I've got one of my voice actor heroes, Cecil Baldwin, is narrating one and possibly a few other stories for the collection, little download links that book story to. And I have some really exciting guest authors writing some micro stories for it, and coming in and trying stories in the shortest story format. But I don't want to spoil any of those yet, so I think I'm going to hold those back for now. But you can check that out at shorteststory.com. That's kind of my weird fiction side project that I've really been enjoying. And actually, that will be turning 1 year old in 2 days.
Oh, happy birthday.
1 year anniversary.
And that was my conversation with Peter Chiykowski. Peter currently has his Kickstarter for the short story closing out here. You got until Friday, so when this episode is now airing Thursday, you got a little over 36 hours to make a pledge. I encourage you to do so. This is a really, really cool idea. I love audiobooks. I love the postcard format for a short story. I think this is probably one of the most brilliant things I've seen. Check out his other comics. Rock Paper Cynic airs regularly all the time. Peter deserves the success, and Peter, thank you very much for coming on my show. You're welcome back anytime. Hopefully I'll have the switchboard by the time we do this again. And that will do it for another episode of Just Joshing. You can do a variety of things to support this podcast. You can subscribe to this podcast through Podomatic, iTunes, or various other players that do play it. Leave reviews. That'd be great as well. Outside of that, you can buy my books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, courtesy of MirrorWorldPublishing.com. You can also get them through Amazon, Kobo, wherever books are sold, brick and mortar, or electronically. I have a YouTube channel, Joshua Penteloresco. You can subscribe there. And beyond all that, thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Regardless whether you do any of these things or not, every view counts. So thank you very much. Whatever you're going for, whatever you're aspiring to, go for it. It will definitely... Success never is quite what you imagine it to look like to be, but you're never more alive than when you're doing what you love. So I encourage everybody to find it and go for it. Alright, see you guys next time.
Josh, Shush!